Welcome back to Cade Sport, the virtual cycling platform that invites you to stop pedaling and start cycling. And you join me, the guy with the face, more commonly known as Mark, as I act as your chaperone through another series of rip-roaring races right here on Cade Sport. So let's take a look at the courses our Caders will be tackling today. So we have Cyclogent City, one of my favorites. This is going to be the all-power, all-road course. So our riders are going to want to get that lactic acid firing very quickly today. It's a one-lapper with 16.6 kilometer total distance. Race 2 will see our riders take on a technical course, Lakeview Corner, so one of the mountain bike courses. That is a two-lapper, and that's going to be 2.8 kilometer total. Then we're going to one of our sci-fi courses, and this is going to be a very technical one with some elevation gain as well, and that is going to be a total of 6.5 kilometers. And we do have a series of power-ups today. The first race does not have any, as that is of course our road and power. So then we have race 2, where there's only one choice of power-up, but two, a quantity of two, a 10-second usage and 30-second recharge. That's uncrashable, meaning that riders cannot crash through obstacles or corners. Race 3 will see a quantity of 4 in 2 categories. Corner caper lasting for 20 seconds, which will see riders be able to navigate corners with ease, and a 1-minute recharge time on that one. Weight lifted, which narrows down the rider, allowing them to be entirely aerodynamic for 20 seconds, again with that 1-minute recharge time. So let's jump on over to course 1, Cyclogent City, and take a look at our caders as they warm up. Hopefully doing quite a bit of low effort pedaling so that they can get the leg muscles massaged, ready to break up that lactic acid so that they can go full power and really hit the numbers here. So as the all-power, all-road course, this is going to be the 3 times multiplier right off the bat. So this is going to be the one that the riders want to really tackle. And here we go, we're off. And we've got David Tobin right on the lead. And again, using the tri-bike. So getting that nice aero benefit. Taking the lead, Frank also challenging in, again, a tri-bike. Now, I believe last time I was commenting on a race featuring David Tobin, I was on a bit of a go slow, and I think I got both Davids confused. There we go, David, look at him giving some effort there. David Tobin confused with David Morrison. And so bear with us, guys. You might want to take a seat, be prepared for this revelation. It turns out there's more than one person called David on planet Earth. So David Tobin also with that West London cycling group as well. And David Morrison, who narrates those, or commentates, I should say, commentates the races that often appear here on the Facebook page and on ESTV as well. Verbika here putting in a big challenge, joining that lead pack, and we're seeing that lead pack become more of an overall peloton. So let's see what happens here. This is going to be very interesting. Erhan here putting in some solid effort and moving up that peloton. Hey Erhan, we're hoping to see you give it some power today. So Homer taking that lead, which is not a surprise at all. He is an absolute powerhouse of a rider. And we've got Carl Axel here on screen. Very powerful rider, very powerful endurance rider. And the Soaring Swede is what I'm nicknaming Carl as. He's power and quite often speed as well. Got some good sprint energy. So we will have to see what he's going to bring to the table as we get closer to the final furlongs of Cyclogent City. And look at this wonderful helicopter / drone shot through a city that, if you go to the nighttime version of this course, for me feels entirely reminiscent of Tron. I love it. So Homer, I think we've got a new rider here in pole position. So we're seeing really good grouping, really good rhythm on cadence. So riders are overall looking very well rested and ready to give great guns, I'm hoping. I believe that name from that username I'm seeing is John Sears, maybe? So John Sears from the USA putting in some solid effort there in that second place position right now. Homer giving everyone that draft benefit and really pushing against chain tension, I'm sure, if he's on a direct drive smart trainer. David Tobin here is jockeying for position further up in the peloton. And here we go with Sebastian on screen. Really good rhythm on that cadence, and I'm sure we're going to see a lot of power coming from Zeb today. I'm also, as a fellow punk fan and a fellow metalhead, I'm loving seeing the Ramones background there. I think we just had a crash as well. Was that David? So we're seeing John Sears here keeping really good power on the front of the group. And here we go, Timothy's making his big, iconic breakaway. Perhaps in efforts to dissipate that peloton, break up the effort a little bit. There we go, Timothy's in VO2 max. You can see those good breathing rhythm. Nice work, Timothy. Keep it nice and stable. Good heart rate as well, which is the equalized heart rate, but good for a nice power effort. And we saw some good effort with tempering that speed through those corners there as well, which is great. John putting in the nice attack. So we're beginning to see a peloton reform here. John has brought some riders with him. We're seeing Lisa also from the West London cycling group taking that second place position. Very powerful sprinter is Lisa. So hopefully we'll see some good attacks come in soon. Timothy holding in that third place position. Oh, many crashes here, which has entirely benefited Timothy. Zeb taking that second place position, Carl taking that third place position, coming out of those crashes. So we are seeing the usual suspects being able to survive that try and get my words out here. Survive the technical aspect of this course. Holding a very stable lead at the moment, which is being eaten away at by Carl and John Sears. So Timothy's starting to maybe dissipate that rhythm a bit. Just try and bring it back if you can, Timothy. Roll it back. And Carl just staying stable, Zeb staying as stable as ever. And Carl making a big push to break up that peloton, which is starting to break up now into your leaders and a little bit of a chase pack. So let's see what happens here. Oh, wow, we had a whole group of riders who maybe chose not the best place to put in a bit of a sprint. But this is often what happens. You go tunnel vision when you're in these races, and you just look at the rider making that breakaway, and it doesn't even factor that you've got a corner coming up, and you just chase. And you only think about it once it's a bit too late. So we just saw a whole bunch of riders there again. Very tight corners on this part of the course, which has thrown a lot of people off today. It has been a while since we've done Cyclogen City, so people are finding their legs, if you will. So Carl very comfortably holding the lead right now through the technical aspect of the course. Holding very tight to the inside corners, the inside of each corner, I should say, for his tactic going through here. Timothy is making it known that he's going to put the challenge in. So we've got a few riders on course here. David Tobin, we've got Martin, and is this John Sears, who we're seeing? So we can see those pain faces already on everybody. We can see the effort coming out. So Timothy here and Carl jockeying for that lead place position, that pole position, if you will. And they are regular powerhouses, along with Zeb, who's making that big chase for third place. This is absolutely fantastic to watch. They're just swapping those positions around. Oh, Alfonso, my apologies. Fantastic effort there, Alfonso. And I think I'm seeing you on a tri-bike there in the real world. Or at least looks like you have tri-bars. So continuing to see that jockeying for the lead position. And out of nowhere is Frank Garcia coming in for that big challenge for third place position. He's found his legs today. He is just shooting lactic acid through those quads, I'm sure. Breaking it all up. And keeping those legs moving nice and smoothly. So we've got 9 kilometers left, just about halfway through this course, and I love seeing these wonderful drone and helicopter shots. The expanse of this map is unfathomable. A huge, vast swath of terrain, and beautifully designed too. So a little bit of elevation here beginning to taper off. So if riders are on a direct drive smart trainer and they've got their trainer set to 100% in game and they're in a high tension gear, which you probably want to be on an all power, all road course, when you're putting in these big challenges, these big sprints, they'll feel that effort begin to taper off, which will feel nice. It'll actually begin to massage the legs a bit as the road flattens back out. So look at that, Frank Garcia, second place, beginning to actually hold Timothy at bay here. This is fantastic stuff. Are we going to see the big challenge come from Frank today? So we're beginning to get a peloton reforming here. So riders have recovered from the crashes today, which I forgot to mention earlier. We are in the easy mode difficulty today, so that's a 1.5 second crash penalty, so much less time. It gives riders that chance to catch up. Still going to have to sprint to catch up, they're still going to have to put power down, but it's a lot less than 2.5 seconds, and that 1 second really does make a difference, as evidenced right here. Homer taking the lead now. It's no surprise that Homer was holding back, because he can hold power back all day long and just go great guns when he feels like it. He is a powerhouse of a rider, great at endurance, great at holding for time too. So things beginning to stabilize. We've got a nice smooth peloton reforming here. So riders behind Homer, they're going to get the chance to maybe recover a bit. So I'm not talking a huge recovery, everyone's still racing, but it's going to be in what I like to call, and you've probably heard me say many times now, the sweet spot, roughly about 15-20% below threshold. Again, if they're on a direct drive smart trainer, got the trainer set to 100% in game, they'll begin to feel that draft benefit that tapers off the chain tension a little bit to somewhat emulate how it feels outdoors. So you lose the air resistance outdoors, but it feels easier on your person. To make it feel easier on your person indoors, it's lessening off the chain tension through the electromagnetic flywheel. Oh, that is a pile-up for sure, and that has caused a bit of an equilibrium again with the attackers and the sprinters here. So Timothy taking that lead position, taking full advantage of that crash penalty. Oh, and just as I say that, the commentator's curse. So here we go, a bit of a downhill. So again, if riders are on that direct drive smart trainer rather than a entry turbo or rollers, they're going to feel that ease off like it would with gravity outdoors. Oh, I think Timothy is starting to feel it a bit. If you can pull it back a bit, Timothy, use some of that draft benefit and just get that rhythm back. You don't have to go all sprint all the time. Oh, Vibeke, we were seeing a great push from you there, but I'm sure Vibeke can bring this back and save it, as we've seen her do multiple times before. Whoa, Frank just saved that from a drift out there, saving himself from a crash. Big power here, especially on a downhill. Tapering off now with the downhill. Oh, nice work, Frank. I thought we were seeing a technical here, but just coasting through those corners. Oh, we just saw a steering collision there. Collision with another rider. Was that Homer? And we're seeing the effort here from the European powerhouses here, Timothy, Carl, and Zeb. Really good rhythm there on Zeb. I'm sure we're going to see the big sprint, the big attack come in the last few furlongs here. So we're at 5.4 left, about 3/4 through. Frank, Carl, and Vibeke coming in for some attacks. Zeb is pulling up, making this reform into a peloton again. And Vibeke has recovered as well. Coming back in here, hopefully to make a nice big attack. So we're going to see perhaps a big challenge here from a lot of different riders to see who's going to claim that top spot and the 2 remaining podium positions. Vibeke is steadily becoming the one to watch on the big breakaways on the road races. That's been a fantastic transition to watch. Let's see if she can repeat her win from a couple of weeks ago here. Normally, as viewers, you're used to seeing The 3 times multiplier being at the end, the one that can really change the position in the score table. However, you're seeing that right on the start today, as this being the all road. So this is going to be the one that everyone's going to want to cling to. But then it leaves the question in the mind of each rider, and they can hear this commentary too, so sorry to put this doubt in your mind, but it's going to leave the question of which one can you recover on? Which is going to be the one that you don't have to press as hard on. So Vibeke holding that lead, her teammate is right there with her, Timothy, but we're seeing Homer begin to put in another big powered breakaway. Or are we? Is he waiting for the right moment? It looked like Homer was about to surge, but let's see what happens. So we're on a flat here, this is going to be pure effort. We're coming up to a slight incline. So everyone's keeping everything nice and stable today. Very good rhythm, very good cadence, very good peloton effort here from everyone. Timothy and Vibeke keeping very good rhythm together. They've clearly been training together. Look at that, almost keeping their wattage in somewhat of a syncopation as well. Oh, Homer and Vibeke trying to shake each other. Vibeke trying to deny Homer that draft benefit. There we go. We can see Timothy perhaps beginning to feel a little bit. I'm sure in the group chat they've decided to kind of slingshot each other, switch the position for draft benefit, and who's going to be the lead in their team. Great power there from Vibeke. So in this equalized power mode, pro power mode, for everybody, 4-2-1 is going to be whatever their real world threshold is calculated into this. So you can see Homer there going just above, or was just going above threshold. And that's how this equalization works, how in a generalized ride, at threshold, people can be staying together. Below threshold, they can be staying together. So riders who are real pros in the outside world, if they want to win, they're going to have to surge above threshold. So this is why we talk about this being such a tough race for all these regular contenders. So Homer again, lead of the pack as our big powerhouse. Vibeke though staying very stable right at the front, so we might see a nice big sprint, and Zeb has moved right up as well, right in that third place position, so I'm sure we're going to see all three of them get out of the saddle, get into the drops and really push. So we've got 1.5 left. Sprint effort is different for every rider dependent on their abilities. So we might see sprints coming up. We're seeing Vibeke make a good breakaway, but is this sprint or is this just above threshold? Oh, nasty crash there. That looked to be a steering collision with other riders, with Timothy, Frank and Carl. So Timothy playing it did a lot of power, but playing it careful with those corners. And Zeb making a nice breakaway here, using the corners to his advantage. And he just glides through that corner. But Vibeke from neighbor in Denmark is saying that she is not out of the game yet, as is Homer. But this is the power we see from Zeb. He's beginning to open that gap. So this might be the point where Verbika really wants to get out of the saddle, into the drops, maybe even shift up a gear once you get that cadence rhythm going nice and fast. So has Zeb got it in the can? Are we going to see a big attack coming on? Look at that heart rate on Zeb, holy hell. Equalized 200, that's the highest the game can go. So he's well over threshold. There we go, we can see his pain face there. And it's another win for Zeb Stormbrecher Kuhn. That's right, I've given you a nickname, the Stormbreaker. Wow, that was a fantastic challenge for the finish line. I didn't know who was going to take that right until the finish line. So we're truly seeing riders on really good form today. Everyone looks at least fairly well recovered. So let's see how that leaderboard is. So Zeb ended up with 3.5 seconds over Homer. And Homer also had another 3 seconds almost, 2 and a bit second, 2.9 over Verbika. Frank in 4th, and Timothy rounded out the top 5. So quite an interesting change in our lineup on those top 3 positions over recent races. We're seeing the usual suspects again, but in different places. Timothy has often been in the top spot on these recent races. So Timothy's probably been training a bit hard, maybe needs a little bit of a rest going in for Saturday's races. So let's take a look at the scoreboard and see how everything is standing right now. So Zeb, 90 points in top, 12 points behind Homer. So this is going to be where these next couple races are going to come in invaluable. However, Zeb is also really powerful on the mountain bike courses. So we're going to see a big challenge between Homer and Zeb for that top spot. And Verbika still has a chance to turn this around as well, but rounded out the final place of the podium. So let's see how we go in this next race as we jump over and watch our cadres once again begin to massage those legs, bring their effort down, and just get ready for this race in the next minute or so they have left on Lakeview Corner. Timothy there just resting those shoulders, giving the arms a rest, which I certainly don't blame you. Kay joins us as well, so we're going to see Kay putting some solid effort for this. My apologies, I thought this was the mountain bike course. This is actually another road course, but a technical road course. We have a very similar map on CadeSport to this one. That is a mountain bike one. So it's going to be even more important to keep that handling going through the corners now, especially for a road course with these nice, tight, technical bends. All right, so Homer taking that lead spot at the moment. Oh, sorry, I mean Carl Axel taking that top spot. Vanessa is chasing in 2nd place. Pedro in 3rd. And Timothy and Verbika rounded out the top 5. So let's see what's going to happen. Carl looks like he has a sizable lead right now, which is being eaten away at by Vanessa, who's on a tri-bike as well, which is going to be an interesting choice for this course. But she's doing very well at the moment. Oh my God, that was a fantastic timing of the deployment of Uncrashable by Carl. He was drifting out, just about to collide, and switched on the Uncrashable, which is the only power-up on this course. but there are two of them. And Timothy doing the same thing. Wonderful timing, putting in a wonderful challenge here for the pole position. And Vanessa using the uncrashable to really just surf round Timothy and Carl. Will this be a North American win? Time will tell. So this is a much shorter course, as we saw. Riders are beginning to recover a little bit because this is more of a technical course, not all power. We're seeing good forms there on Zeb and on David Tobin as well. Good form on Martin as well. Homer and Alfonso challenging here. Oh, I was just watching Homer put some power down for that corner, and just before we cut away, I thought that might not be a good decision. And unfortunately it wasn't, so we see it. Is this Erhan? No, Alfonso. Wonderful use again. Oh, of the uncrashable. But it is just a 10-second power up, as we saw there with Alfonso with that unfortunate crash. Frank here holding nice and steady in that 5th place position, seeming to close that gap. Ahead of him with, I believe that's a bot that we have ahead of Frank there. Oh, a collision there with Zeb with Martin. Martin holding nice and stable through that corner, however. So Vanessa, Carl and Timothy still holding quite steady together for 1st, 2nd and 3rd. Tapering down that power nicely to stay stable through the corners, and they are doing just that. Under half a kilometre left. As this begins to straighten out here, we should then begin to see the nice big sprints as we come round. I believe this is the final corner. Maybe I'm wrong. No, I am wrong. Oh, unfortunate crash there from Vanessa, and another perfect timing with uncrashable by Carl. Began to drift out and he just hit that button right at the right time. Wonderful effort there from Carl, wonderful effort from Timothy in that chase, and a bot taking 3rd place position. De facto, that would be the next rider coming over. Vanessa would be 3rd place. Wow, so that really changed things there. So Carl taking the lead this time, 1.3 seconds behind Timothy, and then we had Vanessa, who would be around about almost 6 seconds behind Timothy from that unfortunate crash there. Frank rounding out the top 4, Lisa the top 5. Just as a reminder that Jeffrey Fay is a bot. So what has this done to our scoreboard? Well, that has put Zeb at the top, Homer 2nd place position. So things are staying pretty stable in the scores right now. Timothy has pushed Viveka down to 4th, so we've still got that team together, 3rd and 4th, and then Frank rounding out at 82. So there's going to be some good challenges here for 3rd, 4th and 5th going into the final race of today. So riders are just going to be one by one jumping over to the final course. Hopefully again getting that nice slow cadence, or at least low tension gears, and maybe a faster cadence actually, just to break up some of that lactic acid and just begin to soothe their legs as we go into Electric Fidget, one of our sci-fi courses here on Cade Sport. And this is the elevation version of Electric Fidget. Look at that wonderful sci-fi design. And I mean, talk about Tron. It's like we're inside an arcade machine from the late 80s, early 90s, and I love it. Seeing arcaders there, taking full advantage of this warm-up time just to do a nice stable pedal and soothe those legs, massage out that lactic acid. So this one is an incredibly technical course. We're seeing Kay there coasting through corners, freewheeling as it's otherwise known. So let's see what tactics people are going to bring into play. Is it going to be all braking? Are we going to see a mix of coasting and braking? And we are off. So I believe we're straight into an elevation here, which is going to make things interesting. So we do have 2 power-ups here to help people with these technical corners. Oh wowee, we just saw somebody wipe out there, and we saw a drift. I think that was Frank who just saved himself from a drift there. Timothy on the lead, taking full advantage of the downhill here. And we're beginning to level out a bit as he's putting in more effort, as you can see there. Holding tight to the inside corners and holding a very, very stable lead at the moment. Carl Axel beginning to put in the challenge. And here we are again with David, Tobin, Martin and Alfonso. Everyone looking fairly well rested. Looks like they're back in at least VO2. They've got rid of those shallow breaths. Oh wow, that was a trip going through that corner. Erhan there with an unfortunate crash in the 4th place position. Let's see if he can recover that. So Carl is doing a wonderful job here, having pushed beyond Timothy, who's just had an unfortunate crash behind us there, and holding steady in the inside of each corner as he's coming through. Huge amounts of crashes here, as you can see by those red highlighted names. That indicates that somebody has just crashed. So this course, I believe this is the first time we've done this course on the live races, and it's catching everybody out. But it's not catching out Carl right now, so let's see how things progress. Those crashes giving Carl a very comfortable lead. Heart rate beginning to climb as he's putting in some more effort. Oh, very nice save there on a bit of a drift out into this corner. Very tight corner again. Timothy beginning to put in a bit of a powered attack, as is Vanessa. Vanessa back on a road bike for a bit more of that handling prowess over a tri-bike. Alfonso putting in some good power here as well, on a bit of a straight, as much of a straight as can be forgiven in this map. So Vanessa taking the 1st place position. We just saw a wonderful smooth of that corner. Oh, and just as I say that, the commentator's curse, just hitting the outside of that of the road there and wiping out, as has Alfonso, who was putting in a big powerful attack at that moment for that 3rd place position. Pedro holding very strong here. This is going to be anybody's game with all of these crashes, with all of these very tight, very hard to navigate corners. Frank saving nicely from a drift out, as did Alfonso. Braking there pretty hard at the last moment, but doing so quite deftly and quite skilled. So Carl beginning to jockey for that pole position again. Is Vanessa going to hold strong for a challenge? Oh. Carl beginning to open up that sizable lead again. We saw some challengers come in and people jockey for that pole position. At the moment, holding pretty strong. I haven't seen anybody yet use their power-ups. Oh, and finally Carl has been caught out by a corner. Some of those drift outs you cannot save yourself from. Just like in real life, if you get too unstable, if you try to overcorrect, you will cause yourself some mischief. So Vanessa here holding a stable lead, a short one against Carl. Let's see what she can make happen here. 3.5-ish kilometers left. So we're beginning to get close to, oh, a dash. Maybe a case of that tunnel vision coming into play as they're seeing each other coming in for challenges or beginning to break away. We just saw somebody there cascade in the background. Over the edge. Power-ups here, Frank Garcia. Using both at the same time, the weight lifted and the corner caper. Good choice. The weight lifted making him more aerodynamic, giving him more speed. Not necessarily power, but more speed, which is the name of the game. Keeping nice and stable through these corners after his power-ups have worn off. Now he's got a 1 minute recharge time before he can use that again. But he knows that he's got a nice long straight here, which might be long enough time to wait out for the next necessary usage. So Pedro here putting in some very stable power over threshold there. Beginning to taper off for the corner. Look at that, skillful cornering. Homer staying nice and stable as well. Fantastic use of freewheeling there. Freewheeling into the corner, cycling out. Which, if anyone knows from being on the road bike, that's your best tactic in the real world, as it is in game here too. So Carl using his weight lifted, as is Timothy up in front, beginning to jockey for these podium placements. Vanessa still holding nice and stable in the lead, but Timothy and Carl making some challenges. Oh, fantastic use of the corner capers coming out of the weight lifted. They waited for the right moment, knowing the corners were coming up, to deploy those. So Timothy here still taking full advantage of that 20-second corner caper. And so Carl here in the second place position. Timothy and Carl beginning to jockey as challengers to each other frequently for that pole position. So this is going to be an interesting final 1.5 kilometers. There we go, they're out of that tight corner. Using a descent here, which is deceptive. They've got some advantage with speed, but they're going to want to be careful of the corner coming up, which they're doing artfully here. Oh! A narrow road with a tight corner that was certain to get somebody, catch somebody out there. Oh, and again. So Timothy there beginning to save himself from a little bit of a drift out. So in the final half of this lap, with a little bit of a rise, going into a descent with a tight corner, this is a vicious map that is going to catch out even the most technical of riders. Oh, an unfortunate crash there with Pedro, who's beginning to put in a bit of a challenge for fourth and third. This is going to be a fight right to the finish line between Carl and Timothy. Timothy closing that gap and really hugging that rear wheel of Carl. They're both riders where they know where to sprint, where to hold. They're just going to try and not let that tunnel vision take over now. That tunnel vision, when you see the other rider making that breakaway, you've got to pay attention to this technical stuff coming up and trust that beginning to temper your speed, temper your efforts for those corners is going to pay off. There we go, look at that. Timothy's in the hurt locker, as Frank would say, as is Carl. Two even-tempered riders on an even keel, if you will. And it's not done until the finish line. As the old saying goes, it's not over till the fat lady sings. And we're just seeing that jockeying, that switching around of positions. A nice use of power up here with Timothy. Oh, an unfortunate crash there from Carl. Is that the crash that is going to secure it for Timothy? So we might see these upsets that I was talking about come into play in the scoreboard as a result of this final race. All right, so Timothy's going to be able to put in this nice big sprint here. It's pretty much secured. Fantastic effort, Timothy. Fantastic effort, Carl, Vanessa, Pedro, all the riders out there on course today. Fantastic effort, Carl. Oh, Vanessa with another unfortunate crash there, but good recovery. Being able to put in that final sprint now to hopefully secure that third place position. There we go. Taking it with ease. Pedro here, coming in for fourth place. Oh, this final corner is a vicious one. It gets riders thinking they can begin to put in that sprint effort, but it is a wide and sharp corner. So Timothy, first place position, Carl second, Vanessa making the final rider of the podium, Pedro fourth. Fantastic effort there, Pedro. So Homer rounding out the top five, Frank top six, and Martin looking like he's coming in nice and stable for seventh. Oh, good tactic there, Martin, holding his line nice and well around that corner. And as Martin crosses the finish line, let's take a look at the scoreboard as our riders begin to tally into the results there. So have we seen an upset here? We have. Shooting right from fourth up to first, we have Timothy there with 143 points. Carl shooting up to second with 133. Homer holding on to the top three with 130. Frank moving up to fourth, 116. Vibika just a shave behind Frank for the top five. Zeb, unfortunately, it looks like maybe he couldn't connect to this final race, which has unfortunately cost him and put him in sixth place. David with 92, and then Vanessa with 67. We saw a fantastic effort from Vanessa in that final race there. Wonderful stuff with today's race, just as entertaining as these races always are. Well, thank you for joining us today, everybody. You can watch these regularly, and you can see the schedule up on the Cade Sport Facebook page. You can watch on ESTV, on YouTube, on the Cade Sport channel, or live through the Cade Sport Facebook page. And we will be back soon with yet another Pro Power race right here on Cade Sport. Have a wonderful day.